Welcome to the show. Now please strap in for the truth and remember the words of the great Tom Cruise.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now welcome to Off Topic on Porn.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, OTOP viewers and listeners, and it's time for another podcast episode, and we hope everyone's doing well, and James is back with me this evening. James, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Russell. Thanks for having me. A
All
lot of
right.
stuff in the news.
Boy, and now it just seems like that's something we can always count on, and so one of the challenges we have is ferreting out everything, right, and deciding
Right.
what's relevant, and since we have that 2-day lag between us making the podcast recording and it being posted, we have to be kind of selective because a lot of things go stale.
Yep.
Speaking of things that may go stale, let's just jump right into this. The latest on the Iran, the U.S. and Iran MOU is interesting. Are you familiar with what's going on there?
Oh, absolutely. The thing about that that's so both interesting and troubling is that it seems like it changes within minutes, within 1 day, several things can happen.
Yeah.
The latest is the Iranians walked away from the table. Now, by the time this hits your wherever you get the OTAP broadcast, things could change many times over. But as of right now, the Iranians have walked away from the table.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to see how this turns out.
Well, yeah, and so there was this kind of diatribe that the Iranian president, when he was addressing the leadership of his country, they were basically talking some real smack about the president and about the President Trump and about the deal and the agreement, and they were actually communicating things like the United States had acquiesced on some things, like the enrichment of uranium, things like that, and which I don't believe that. I don't think anybody in their right mind believes that, but that's some of the rhetoric that was being tossed out there in recent hours, and then the president got wind of it, of course, and responded pretty vitriolically to it. And then all of this is before J.D. Vance and his contingency are meeting with the Iranians earlier today in Switzerland. And so then when they do meet, and there's all the pleasantries that are being exchanged, and everybody's being introduced and all in the initial phase of the meeting together, at a certain point during those proceedings, the Iranian delegation very obviously walked out on J.D. Vance and the rest of the people that were there. And to this moment, James, it's not. They have not had a discussion. There is not a negotiation going on. They're all there. So the United States and J.D. Vance and his contingency are there, and so is the Iranian delegation. But they're not talking, and they're going to work. They say through the night to try to do this. At least that's what we're getting from J.D. Vance's people. So.
Right.
So that's kind of an overview for people who maybe haven't heard about that. And who knows, by the time this podcast episode releases, who knows what the truth may be about this until then. So we probably don't want to belabor this too much. But that's the information as I have it up to this point. Any last things on this by you, James?
Yeah. The main thing about this agreement is that for Donald Trump, the Democrats in America are not going to be happy. You know, if Donald Trump wins or develops some kind of favorable agreement, he's going to be criticized for it. If he doesn't develop a favorable agreement for America, he's going to be criticized for it. It's not about the actual people of Iran or people of America or what's going to bring lasting peace in the region. It's all about, how can we get Trump? And that's pretty sad. We don't gamble with American lives that way.
Yeah, it goes to show you how it's, because you and I have been alive long enough to be able to say this, the decrease in the maturity level of adults in this country. And some of that immaturity has gotten into the political arena. And so when you have a bunch of people throwing fits and making an enemy out of a person just because they want to. That's like bullies in the schoolyard picking on somebody.
Yeah.
And so these are just children in adult bodies. And I really don't care. I mean, I'm sure none of that'll get back to any of them, but if it does, great.
Right.
Because it is the truth. The statesmen of yesterday would never have comported themselves in this ridiculous way that we're seeing today. And so hopefully, and immature. By the grace of God, we can survive this and move on. But I don't know. You know, the Democrat Party has morphed into something that's pretty horrible. But so many Democrats just refuse to see it because, by golly, I've been a Democrat my whole life and I'll always be a Democrat. Doesn't matter what the party does, which makes those Americans pretty horrible people, although they would never see it. Very, very, very few of them will ever come to an awakening about these kinds of things. So anyway, that's my comments on that. Why don't we move on to our main topic of discussion tonight, which is the Major League Baseball.
Oh, yes, America's pastime.
And baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet, I think is what the commercial used to say.
There you go.
And it's American as apple pie.
Yeah. We can go ahead and add gay pride to that list.
Yeah, I know that's what they want us to do. I don't particularly think I will, but but there's this little controversy of rainbows, right? And
right, exactly.
The teams telling their players to put rainbows on their hats, right? And then some of these players, what did they do?
They put Bible verses on their baseball hats instead.
Yeah, I think Genesis chapter 9 and like 9 through 17 or something like that.
Yep, that's right.
And why did they do that? Because that's where the Bible talks about the rainbow, right?
Right, exactly.
It has nothing to do with gay anything.
That's right. That's right. The symbol of the rainbow has been co-opted by the LGBTQ XYZ, whatever, how many letters we have now.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Right. So anyway, you have these players from the San Francisco Giants who were fined by the league because they dared putting Bible verses on their hats instead of rainbows for Pride Night. And of course, this is San Francisco. This is a very this is a city known for its large gay population.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi comes from is from San Francisco, represents San Francisco. Kamala Harris was the district attorney for San Francisco, as well as the California AG, and of course was formerly a vice president. So this is the kind of politics we're used to dealing with within the city and these organizations. So you must celebrate gay pride or else the retributions will be swift. And I have to admit, I kind of chuckled a bit because I love the subversiveness of these players. You want to celebrate the rainbow? I'll tell you about the rainbow.
Yeah.
It's not Skittles. It's actually something from the Bible. And you probably know a little bit. I mean, we talked about a little bit about this on our pre-meeting. What exactly do these verses even say?
What exactly what?
Do these verses say the Genesis 9
passage? Let me just, before I go there, let me point out that when these players put the scripture verse on their hats, they got reprimanded for it.
Yep.
And the reasons that they gave were pathetic about it's not sanctioned for the uniform and it's not becoming and so forth. And yet these same people that were saying that in leadership positions in the MLB, they didn't say anything when people were taking knees during the national anthem or anything like that.
That's a good point.
So and other misbehaviors I could point out. So it's falling on hollow ears. So I actually have the scripture passage pulled up here now. It's from again Genesis chapter 9, and I'll read the whole thing here. It's
that's fine.
Several verses, but I think it's worth hearing because the imagery that's put out today is the rainbow is supposed to represent the diversity of colors and the diversity of ideology, especially sexual ideology and so forth. And it's completely contrived, but that is what they have sought to make the rainbow symbolic of. There's the Rainbow Coalition and all this other stuff, right? Okay, so here's what we all know what a rainbow is. Most of us have seen one, at least one, I'm sure. And we know that there's a passage in the scripture, and there is a connection that the rainbow has because of the scriptures. When I say the scriptures, I mean specifically the book of Genesis. There is a connection that the rainbow has to Judaism as well as Christianity, because these are the scriptures of Judaism and Christianity. So here you go. Here's what it says. And I'll start actually in verse 8. It says, "And God spoke unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there be any more a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the token of the covenant." Token there means sign.
Mhm.
"This is a token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth." Now that's what is said about the bow. And by the way, I will make another observation here. From the Middle Eastern Hebraic perspective, this is understood, or at least in eons past, well, maybe not eons, but in past understanding in Judaism and in the Middle East itself, this is actually not just a rainbow showing up, but it is symbolic of God taking his weaponry like a bow and hanging it up and saying, I'm not going to use that against you. So there's imagery here that is associated with this, where God's not bringing the weaponry of his judgment against humanity in this way ever again. Now that's what the sign of the rainbow is about. And it's not about something else. And so that's why we say that it got co-opted. And it certainly has been co-opted.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a warrior, very much a warrior imagery.
Yes.
It also, I would also say that it shows that God's no longer at war with us. And during the flood, God destroyed humanity for our wickedness. That's what we deserved. But he's coming, to your point. He's made peace with humanity. He's allowed us to live. But that comes with the responsibility. We have to use our time on earth the right way. We have to be reconciled with God.
Right. So along the lines of what we were discussing earlier that led us to that passage.
Yeah.
I am kind of proud of the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Since we're from Texas, right?
That's right. Much love.
Texas Rangers apparently were the only Major League Baseball team that decided not to have a Pride celebration, and they actually had an alternative event, right?
Yep, Faith and Family Night. That's what they had.
Yeah,
Faith and Family Night.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I love that.
Nowhere else but Texas. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I wish it was other places, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. God bless Texas. Yeah, the thing about that is I love this because it shows that you can be a successful Major League Baseball franchise
Yes.
and not uh go along with the crowd, because I think sometimes people say, well, this is what Major League Baseball is all about. These are our values. You
Yeah.
must toe the line. And wait a second. I'm sorry, but the Texas Rangers are, a company. Their baseball franchise, independently owned and operated. Didn't George W. Bush at one point, wasn't he the owner of it at some point in the past? I don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
It's
don't
very
remember.
possible.
It's very possible, but yeah, we love the Texas Rangers. I mean, it's one of those situations where whatever happened to businesses operating to do whatever it is they
Yeah.
do, they play. You're supposed to play baseball. That's why I go see the baseball game. I want to see good baseball. I don't want to be assaulted. I don't want to be challenged. I don't want something shoved down my throat. I just
Right.
want a good, wholesome game of baseball. Or I want to shop at Target or Home Depot or Lowe's or any other business, and just get what I want and leave.
Yeah.
Leave the politics out of it.
And we live in the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? Is what it's supposed to, that's what it's supposed to be,
Yeah, exactly.
according to the Star Spangled Banner, right?
Well, there you go.
And so if we are the land of the free, then part of what that freedom entails is people being able to do that which they find conscionable and to speak their mind concerning those things and against those things opposites.
Yep.
And the fact that there are people that disagree with that is what makes this a freedom society, because we can all have opposing views, but we can respect each other's God-given rights, the rights that are unalienable, as we commented on last week, that come
Yeah,
from
absolutely.
the Declaration of Independence. And they don't come from the Declaration of Independence, they are reflected there. The
Yeah.
rights existed, they pre-existed any document because
That's right.
it was a part of what came with the territory. It was baked into the cake of man being created in the image of God.
Right. Natural theology.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. So, yeah, but people don't want to respect that anymore. And part of that is because God has been taken out of the conscience so much in America, and all they're left with is secular evolution and Darwinian evolution, which we should do a podcast episode or two on that sometime.
Yeah, that's always.
I would love for us
stuff
to explain clearly why Darwinian evolution is ridiculous,
Absolutely.
despite the fact that it is in academia and in the public school systems and has been since before I was in school, since before I was a kid. So it's been around a while. We ought to talk about that sometime, because there has been so much that has come out since Darwin that just makes Darwin ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Darwin's Black Box. Michael
Yeah, by
Behe.
Michael Behe.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Hey, we previewed the story of everything. Maybe when
Yeah.
it comes out on video, maybe we should. Is that a thing anymore? When
Yeah.
it comes out, we
Yeah,
can.
I found out this week that you can now access it on platforms like Amazon Prime, and I imagine
No,
some
yeah.
other ones. Yeah. Now you have to pay for it, but it's not cost prohibitive. So I think you can rent it for like $4 and you can buy it for 15 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the price of a movie ticket these days, believe
Yeah.
it or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
I remember in the 80s, I could go to see a first run movie for $2.50.
brother, I remember going to some movies. Of course, I'm older than you are. For 50 cents if they were matinees. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It's hard to believe. I said we sound like two old codgers here, right? I remember back
Right,
in the
exactly.
day. So
Yeah, $15. So
well, anyway, I'm very proud of the Texas Rangers, and I'm glad to see that, that there has been a backlash against the Major League Baseball doing this to their
Yeah,
players, and
absolutely.
that's a good sign in our culture. And so let's transition, and we're going to need to wrap it up here pretty soon. But I'd like to get your take on how things are going right now for America 250. I mean, we are in the year of the 250th anniversary of our country. I remember when the bicentennial was here. I was
Oh yeah,
a teenager in Boy Scouts and all, and I remember
1776.
that. And now here we are, 50 years later, and we're doing America 250, and July
Yeah.
4th is just around the corner.
Yes, absolutely. The thing I want to talk about that is just to remind Americans that, you know, even though we say we are a Judeo-Christian nation, or Christian nation, doesn't mean we want to force Christianity upon everybody who comes through our shores. We have religious freedom. It was never about the Catholic Church, the Baptist Church, the Presbyterian Church, the Episcopalian Church. It's always been about freedom, freedom of religion. It's in the First Amendment of our Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, nor prohibiting the exercise thereof. You can worship however you want to in America, and that's what makes America such a great nation. And we don't see this, and people in America don't realize this. What a novel concept. You cannot go to other countries and express yourself in any religious fashion you wish. It just doesn't work that way. You can't do that in communist countries. You can't do that in Islamic countries.
Yeah.
Or whatever the religion, anything that goes against a national religion or no religion. America is unique in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just because we don't force the gospel on people, which the gospel is not something that you do force on people, unlike something like Islam, where you can force it at the sword and you can use subterfuge and lies and all to push it out to people who are not. What?
And imprisonment.
Yeah, and imprisonment and every several different forms of persecution, including slavery, by the way. But that's not how the gospel goes forth. The gospel goes forth word of mouth, and then you either accept it or you don't. Just because that's the case, that we don't force it on people, it doesn't mean that the ethic, the Judeo-Christian ethic of this nation is not the ethic of this nation. It is a part of what made this nation great. It partners with the constitutional concepts and the concepts from the Declaration, the founding documents. It partners with that very, very well. And that is the philosophy that made this nation great. There are reasons why there are no great Muslim nations. And this country is greater than any Muslim empire that ever existed. So we just have to remember the greatest empire that, well, I wouldn't call our nation an empire, but the greatest nation in so many ways that has ever existed, this one, is so because of the principles behind, or the principles that undergird what we started off to be. And that's taking all of the bad things, the sin, the mistakes, and all that we made also as a nation in the early days. This nation has done what it can to expunge itself of those things, and that's a fairly rare thing.
Oh yes.
So I there's so much to celebrate. I am so proud to be an American, and you know what? I'm a Christian, and I really don't care if people call me a Christian nationalist. Most of the people that say that don't know what they're talking about. They're just listening to the news media and existing in the leftist echo chamber that's out there trying to influence people. But look, the Bible makes it clear, James, that we are to honor the governmental authorities, right?
That's right.
And so if I'm patriotic and I'm a Christian, that's part of what my good Christianity is about. As long as I'm willing to speak against the wrong that the government does, there's absolutely nothing wrong, and I would say everything right and biblical about being a Christian who loves his nation. And so if people want to call that Christian nationalism, so be it. I'm not going to let you equate me to a Nazi, especially those of you out there who are acting more like Nazis than anybody else is right now.
Oh, yes.
But you want to call other people that. We see you, and I'm just going to call it you. If there is an incarnation of the Nazi regime, it's you. And that's why we support President Trump, and that's why we are taking position against you, because we cannot have Nazi concepts coming upon our nation or communist concepts coming upon our nation and just sit around and let it happen. We're not going to do that.
That's right. So too many people died in America for us to sit on our blessed assurances,
Right.
as you like to say, for another 250 years. We're not going to stand by and watch our country crumble.
That's right. That's right.
For anyone, It's like our president, all presidents, all soldiers, they make an oath of the Constitution to defend this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. If
Yep.
you can live in America and be an enemy of the Constitution,
Yep.
you will be stopped.
Yeah, that's
Just
one
like
of
the
the
ones inside the country. You will
that's
be
one of the
stopped.
domestic problems. Now your feed is kind of kicking in and out here, James, but it's okay because we're almost at the end of the podcast here. So thanks for all of the good input and everything and the good concepts here. It's about time for us to honor our sponsors here, and so let me just do that real quick if you don't mind.
Sure.
One of our sponsors on this show is Mountain Mowers LLC in the Tri-County area there in Galix, Virginia. So if you are in the Tri-County area, they are your local experts for keeping your yard looking its best, whether it's mowing, trimming, or full lawn care. Mountain Mowers has you covered with reliable service and a personal touch. They know every yard is different and they treat yours like their own. If you're ready for a lawn that stands out without all of the hassle, call Mountain Mowers LLC today at 276-730-8230. Mountain Mowers, we cut grass, not corners. And this is the time of year when that's probably a good company to call if you're in the Tri-County area there around Galix, Virginia. And then here in the San Antonio area, we have Ritchie Automotive, singular, Ritchie Automotive Repair and Alignment. And they're actually in the Bernie area, but that's pretty close to San Antonio. And this is a very honest auto repair shop. They will treat you right. They will treat you well. They will be good to your car, and they will not force or try to cajole you into repair work on your car that you don't need. If your car is fine, they're going to tell you so. If there's something wrong, they're going to tell you exactly what that is, and they're going to do the repair if you authorize it, and it will be at a fair price. Their motto is, we care about you and your car. So they care about your car and they care about you, and that's a good philosophy to hang your hat on when it comes to auto repair. This is a Christian-owned garage, and so we want to commend them to you and you to them here on Off Topic On Point. And so you can go to Ritchie Automotive at, here's the address, 29059 IH10, Bernie, Texas. The phone number, if you want to call them, is 830-755-8550. And once again, we care about you and your car. And so, James, that is another wrap for us. We want to remind everybody to please like, comment, share, and subscribe to help us move this podcast along. And if you've got other ideas, other ideas for what we could talk about, what should they do, James?
Email us. That'd be the easiest way.
Yeah, at otopnow@gmail.com.
Right.
Email us, or you could also comment. I've already said let's comment, so or y'all please comment. You can comment also and leave your suggestions or your observations there. All right, James, that's going to do it for this particular episode of Off Topic On Point. And so let me just finish by saying what we typically do. You don't always have to be on topic. You can be off topic, like the title says, but you really must be on point.
On point.
And so we leave you with that and that with you and say, until next time, so long.